I can't believe this is a funny one. At least it is to me. As you can see, I'm already amused. When I was talking about movies about cults and my intention to talk about more of them, review them, analyze them here on my channel, I really backed into this one, and I had no idea, or I didn't. I should have had an idea because I can remember this movie. This is an old movie from 1987. It's called Dragnet, and it's about an even older show called Dragnet that I think was on in the early to mid 60s, maybe even all through the 60s. I don't know. And so it's one of those weird things where it's nostalgia within nostalgia, right? When it came out in 87, it was meant to be a nostalgic movie referring to this classic television show called Dragnet. And now, it's a movie that we're looking back on, from the distance of several decades, and it's like whenever there's nostalgia within nostalgia, it's sort of like looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing the endless reflections, or just what, and you wonder to yourself, where's the floor, where's the bottom, is there any is there any depth to which we cannot tumble? It opens up infinity before you, and so let me just talk a little bit about this movie Dragnet. So if you don't know, the original Dragnet is just this very straight ahead, by the book, or it's what makes it such a classic is that the main character is just this very, he's known for the cadence of his voice, and he just says, Friday we did this, just the facts, ma'am. He's a no nonsense cop, an old fashioned cop, and again, his thing is by the book. That's his catchphrase. Just the facts, ma'am. Rather, is his catchphrase. He doesn't want to delve into anything else, just wants the facts. And the show itself was, sort of, it's interesting. It's like an ultra conservative show in this time of, increasing cultural liberalism. And it's again, the main character and his partner are just these paragons of old-fashioned masculine, police detection. They just find the secret to something, or find out the mystery of something, and it's never supposed to be like, wow, look at the hidden depths of this. It's just the facts, ma'am. And they're just going about their business, doing their thing. With just this. It has this masculine, traditionally masculine kind of feel to it. So you have in 1987 this movie Dragnet comes out, in which the conceit of it, the notion here, the comedic notion, is that the old guy Joe Friday has been replaced by somebody else, by his nephew, I think, and that's Dan Aykroyd. And Dan Aykroyd acts just like Joe Friday, the original cop on the show, but he's joined by a new guy. all these police cliches, I don't want a partner. I don't want to. They're the odd couple. They see things totally differently, and so the new guy, the new partner that he has, is this more modern guy, played by Tom Hanks. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tom Hanks. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'm going to let that just stand by itself. I won't comment further on the presence of Tom Hanks in this movie. I'm just going to let it kind of resonate in your consciousness for a moment before I continue. So Tom Hanks's character is just sort of there to be this hip, cool, laid back sort of mismatch character to Dan Aykroyd, who is essentially playing the same character that was played that was the Joe Friday character in the original on the original show. But so they're an odd couple. They make for an odd coupling as partners. Now, what gets interesting to me about the movie, and of course, a lot of it just seemed at the time. It all just seemed at the time just to be stupid, and it is like stupid and fluff and not to hold any hidden depths, not to be a commentary on the way things are. This is not the first season of True Detective that we're being shown here, and yet it is. In its own way, it's the first season of True Detective. It touches on everything that season 1 of True Detective touched on. What's going on is there's this group that's called Pagan, Pagan. It's an anagram that stands for something. I can't remember what it stands for. But essentially, they're this group of evil devil worshippers, and what we find out over the course of the movie is that they have well, first of all, there's this evangelist sort of character played by Christopher Plummer, and I think he's basically supposed to be Pat Robertson. Pat Robertson was sort of like the most visible evangelical around 1987 when this movie came out. He ran for president in 1988. And so, but as it turns out, he's Christopher Plummer's character has a priest scholar, so it's all kind of a little, it's like, is he Father Conklin? I doubt it. I sort of think he's just supposed to represent the religious right, which again was a thing that people said. People talked about. Oh, the religious right is everywhere. The religious right wants to dictate what you can do in your bedroom, kind of thing. That was like a big issue for people in the 1980s, especially if you were liberal. So you have this Pat Robertson televangelist character who's actually a devil worshiper, as we find out. Spoiler. I mean, there's spoilers ahoy. Okay. If you want to watch this movie without the spoilers, you can. I don't think it's not really like something where if I refrain from telling you, or if I don't refrain from telling you the spoilers, it'll just ruin everything. It's not like that. There's not a lot to ruin. Okay, it's not that great. It's quite mediocre, but it's interesting for a lot of reasons that I'm enumerating here. So there's this group called Pagan that's a devil worshipping cult working in Los Angeles, and this Christopher Plummer character, who plays a Pat Robertson figure, strikes up a deal with this character played by Dabney Coleman, who's basically supposed to be Hugh Hefner. And there's this whole there are scenes that take place in what's essentially the Playboy Mansion area, a Playboy Mansion type area, and Dabney Coleman walks out in a bathrobe, so, and he's in charge of this whole enterprise, and he has a girl on each of his arms, so he's definitely the Hugh Hefner. He's supposed to recall Hugh Hefner just like Christopher Plummer is supposed to recall Pat Robertson. So they have there's this kind of alliance between that's forged between the pornographer and the anti-pornographer, the moral crusader. We've got to stamp down on the smut that's penetrating into our culture. And it turns out that these two men are allied with one another, but actually Christopher Plummer's character has also represents the evil side. So his ultimate plan is to kill off Dabney Coleman's character and kill off his playboy like enterprise and take it over for himself, in some form, so that he can, basically rule both sides. There's, like he says at some point, there's got to be good and evil. They have to both exist at the same time. One can't exist without the other. Pretty deep stuff here. This is kind of a Zoroastrian dualistic portrayal of human reality. And so the Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks infiltrate this pagan meeting, and there's a whole bunch of men there. It's all men. So this kind of makes you think about Bohemian Grove, although that's like North California. This is L.A., but there's like a similar vibe to it, although it's totally farcical in its portrayal. But there's also this kind of Church of Satan, which I think was an Anton LaVey out of Los Angeles, I believe so. Didn't he operate there? And at this meeting, they have like these 3 banners that are hanging down that very much resemble, the Nazi swastika banners. And I'm thinking to myself, something you wouldn't see in a movie today, like anything that could possibly resemble, an emblem of the Nazis. They would not be featured in a movie because, trigger warning and all that nonsense. But there's this meeting of all men, and they are all put on these goat cloth pants and dance around, and they're there to watch a virgin be sacrificed. And the 2 policemen save the virgin and escape, and there's a chase that ensues, and it's not really worth going into all that much. But to me, it was just very interesting, without reiterating the entirety of the plot, because there's really not much there. It's interesting that there are all these kinds of references to occult groups that are truly running society, that are specifically, in Los Angeles, that are permeating everything, working, in secret, that are highly influential. Like at one point, Dan Aykroyd's character tries to arrest the Christopher Plummer and Evangelist character, and for that he gets stripped of his badge, and that's so this group even has sway over the police force, and so forth. Now it almost seems ridiculous. I'm someone who has been accused of overanalyzing things before. I've never been accused of underanalyzing things, which I think would be much more of an insult. I'm hesitant to go too far in saying this movie was exposing what was going truly going on behind the scenes. But at the same time, when you watch it now, it's hard not to reflect on these kinds of things, and it's weird that they would choose to do this in a movie that's about that's meant to be a comedy, parody of the show Dragnet, which was this institution, beloved by many viewers, and very iconic, and didn't typically feature stories like this. Usually the stories would be, much more simple, and there wouldn't be far wide-ranging conspiracies. It was just, and it was more, the basic shtick of the movie, the humor of the movie comes essentially from Dan Aykroyd's, spot-on imitation of Joe Friday. And Tom Hanks, again, is there, because it's this is something that's worth maybe reminding people of. Tom Hanks eventually became this figure of supposed great enormous gravitas, and like I think from Saving Private Ryan on, he just became this like new I don't know, Jimmy Stewart-esque sort of figure, maybe from Philadelphia on. He was like a walking, talking virtue signal. But in his earlier years, he was this like comedian, this fun comedian, and of course his first show ever was in Bosom Buddies, which was about cross-dressing. So again, one wonders, like, is there a link there, like the whole trans agenda? It was the dumbest show ever. Like the premise was really, really dumb. The premise was that Tom Hanks and this other guy couldn't find anywhere to live except this boarding house for young women. So they had to pretend to be women to live there. So they had to dress and talk like women, although they didn't look anything like women, of course, when they were in drag. So it was a drag show, sort of. I mean, I don't know. It's like they were both very straight guys, but they got caught up in this whole drag thing. I guess kind of like the movie Some Like It Hot, which I've never seen, but it seems like that was a similar thing. I don't know what the premise is with that movie, but in any case, it's considered a Hollywood classic. But in any case, so Tom Hanks early on was just sort of a like a comedic actor, a comedy actor, a wisecracking sort of guy. In this movie, he's like the foil to Dan Aykroyd's character. Dan Aykroyd is very stiff and straight-laced, and he's cool and laid back, and cracks jokes at Dan Aykroyd's expense, about him being so uptight and everything. So I don't know, man. Though there's a lot that's really interesting about this movie. So if you have Netflix right now, maybe you want to tune in and see for yourself. And I'm not going to guarantee that it'll be worth your time, because it's not that great. Like I said, it's a very mediocre movie. But it's kind of just it's when you think of it, it's just strange. It's strange that they would have all these elements. Like, why not just have it be? Why have it be this kind of weird conspiracy story? That obviously makes reference to Anton LaVey, Bohemian Grove, and also to figures like Pat Robertson of the religious right, perhaps playing some role in like these morally people who present themselves as morally righteous maybe are in fact part of the evil, and because they see that they would be put out of business if there wasn't evil in society, so they make sure to supply the evil and then to act as the foil to the evil. I don't know, a lot of interesting stuff there, I think, but it's a dumb movie that's got some interesting material, so maybe see it if you're interested. I don't know, and if you have seen it and you have memories of it, let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching.